Everyone, welcome back to Daventry Studios Creative Corner. Our guest today is the one and only Katy Bodenhamer from Los Angeles by way of Nebraska. Welcome, Katy. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Good to be here.
And, her name says Love and Responsibility LA. And so that's
Does it?
something that, I just noticed that. And that's actually probably a good thing to start off maybe our segment with was so Love and Responsibility is, do you want that on there?
I can change it here. Yeah, I help out a lot with love and responsibility. Can you still see my video right now?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, yeah. Let me change it. Love and responsibility. This is a great promo. Because we're all online and virtual now, so anyone can join and check it out. The handle on Instagram and Love and Responsibility LA on Instagram, and then you can find us on Facebook too. But we're building a community that's all about teaching others to live by John Paul II's teachings of love and responsibility based off the book to love authentically. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a great group. We're having a speaker series come up in February. So if you get on our email list, then we'll send you emails all about that. It's like a 6-week series. And then we also do book studies. We're probably going to tackle the book, Love and Responsibility.
It's a big one.
Yes, yeah. And incorporate it with the speakers, actually. We talked about that. So, yeah.
So cool.
Good. Very good. So love, responsibility, that's what Katy's about promoting. And here on our show, we're about promoting truth and beauty, which all go hand in hand. So Katy, you're from Nebraska, but give us a little story about yourself, about how did you come into the artistic world? What drives you in terms of that? And how did you get to the point where you are now?
Cool. So yeah, I did grow up in small town Nebraska, like 600 people. And you don't realize how special it is. Grew up on a farm, and then I moved to the big city, and you realize just how peaceful and endearing it is to be with all these people that in community that really support you and love you and care about you. But I always felt like God was calling me to something else. Unfortunately, it's funny because I was a really quiet kid and started to use acting as like a way to be a character and make people laugh and kind of get out of my shell. And I would do Saturday Night Live impressions when I was younger. And like that was the only way to talk to people. It's like, well, I'll do Mary Catherine Gallagher right now. And like those are my social skills. But people liked it. And I remember being so shy. If I had to get up and do a speech for like English class, I would have to put on a character in order to be able to get up and do it for people. So then people are like, oh, you should get into drama and acting. And it's always kind of been an outlet for me in that way. And so I guess I didn't think I was going to ever be a professional actor, especially coming from Nebraska. I always felt like God pulling me out towards the West Coast, though. I figured because of the sunshine and there was no snow and all that. But after traveling some, I realized, wow, I guess I can move anywhere and live anywhere. And so I literally packed up to drive out to LA without never having visited it. And it felt like home once I got out here. And I had studied graphic design and had done some internships with advertising and art direction, and didn't feel any peace with that. But I had a couple freelance design clients. And once I got to LA, in my mind, it was like, oh, you're going to have studied at Juilliard to be able to enter into this mysterious acting world. And then you run into a plethora of actors that are just like, yeah, just put your picture up and you can start auditioning. Go to this website. It's like, oh, okay. So, I just put my picture up and started getting stuff and getting more excited about it. And it's been a pretty smooth, some ups and downs, but a really pretty smooth, gradual success as I keep going. I've been out here 10 years now, and I'm super blessed, super grateful. God keeps giving me opportunities. I feel like the second I'm like, oh, I don't know if I can do this, another thing falls into my lap as like a confirmation that I'm supposed to be here. And And yeah, I guess what drives me, I've always just had extreme love and curiosity for understanding all types of people and loving on all types of people. And I've loved experiencing all types of people in LA because there's all sorts of characters out here. But I think with acting, I just love understanding where a character comes from and diving into different stories and telling different stories. And this is really interesting because one of my favorite verses from the Bible, I love being able to talk about the industry and Jesus together. This is so nice. Thank you for this. One of my favorite verses from the Bible, I was just telling this with a group last night. They said, what's your favorite verse? And then I realized how much it ties into acting here in my career. It's 1 Corinthians 9:19 through like 23. It says, though I am free and belong to no one, I have made myself a slave to everyone to win as many as possible. To the Jews, I became like a Jew to win the Jews. To the weak, I became weak to win the weak. I have become all things to all people so that by all possible means I might save some. I do this for the sake of the gospel, that I may share in its blessings. And that's always been one of my favorite verses, and I think that drives my art, a lot of it. So did I cover everything?
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah, that's incredible. Thank you.
Good. Good.
Can you talk a little bit more about what it was like? Because Nebraska, I assume, is very beautiful in some places, and if you grew up rurally, just experiencing the natural beauty of that. Can you talk a little bit more about like what it was like growing up and how that experience might have come into your life now or propelled you forward in some way?
Yeah, there's this beautiful thing that you take for granted when you're there, is that you can hear yourself think, and you can hear God. I don't know if I knew it as much when I grew up there, but you can just hear God so much clearly being there and what's happening in you. There's just not all these distractions. And I think that helped form that kind of peace that you have there, and quiet and away from the world, helped develop my writing. A lot of it, just being able to figure out who you are and your identity. I think if I would have grown up in LA, I don't know how people do it. I'd be so confused, because people come at you from all directions, from all different things, telling you think this, believe this, and it would be so confusing to be. But so being strong in your own identity, growing up in Nebraska, and your beliefs, and feeling connected to God, that was a huge blessing. Having a strong family and knowing what I want to work for. Now having moved to the city and being grounded in that, and what I want, how I want to have a family in a future, but just that groundedness, and to be able to go back to Nebraska and be with grounded people that really keep you level-headed and in a reality that that you need, which might not always exist in LA. I love LA, but there's pros and cons everywhere that you go. So yeah, I get the best of both worlds, I say.
Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah, I was wondering that because I also come from a small town, very rural, very beautiful, and is spot on what you said about just being able to have this space. And even I think space for creativity, space to get to know who you are, like you said. So the fact that you could have had that and brought that into your experience in your life now, yeah, that's just incredible.
Yeah, exactly. I would have been like, having grown up here, I just would have felt like a jumbled mess of trying to find yourself. So I feel for people that are still on that journey here. And I tell anyone that before you move to LA, like, just make sure you know who you are. That's the biggest thing. Yeah.
Yeah. LA is Katy and I got to work together on a little Batman project I was doing a couple of years ago. And one of the days we filmed there's a whole bunch of stuff that happened that, like, clearly God, like, smoothed everything over for it to actually even happen, because I was running out of options. But we ended up filming like a block or two away from Skid Row, which is like infamous for being like the nation's biggest homeless like area, and I had, I grew up, in the Twin Cities, so it's still a decently big area, but then you get to LA and you're like, okay, you can't, like, there's nothing. Like, you can't, like, you drive out of the cities a little bit and there's a river, there's lakes or whatever, but like, oh, this isn't downtown LA, this will be fine. No, it's Skid Row, and there's rap concerts and
yes, the music.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're trying to film. Great.
Yeah. Oh man. So yeah, just to go along with that. So you've worked, and not necessarily in a starring role across from these people, but in different productions with some pretty big name actors. You were in an episode of The Office a while back, and then you were in the show with Robin Williams. Was it Crazy
The Crazy
One?
Ones? Yeah.
Yep. And I've seen you share some stuff from your time shooting with Robin Williams on social media. And so what's it like working with those, especially those two big names, like, who are very boisterous, very bigger than life, and how they conduct themselves and how those crews and productions conduct themselves, comparing to, something that is a very much smaller scale, like in Nebraska?
Yeah, it's so amazing. You get on those sets and you see just how many people it takes to create something. It's like it's a whole village, right? Whenever you're doing something like that, and them personally, just the biggest thing is they act like real people, and they're so friendly and the sweetest and giving and caring. And with Robin Williams, I often tell this story where he wanted to make people laugh so much. God rest his soul. Oh, that was so tragic when he passed, because you felt like, oh, I got to know for a week. It's only a week, but he went out. It was a softball episode, and so I'm playing first base in an episode, and I'd get a chat with him every time he came to first base. But before we started, he went to every position on the field, all the way out to center field, left field, all over, and told a person a joke, made him laugh, went to the next person, joke, made him laugh, went to the next person. Because there's some downtime on set, right? But it was still, he took the time. We were definitely ready to go by the time he made it to every position, but everyone was like, oh, Robin's doing his thing. And it was so sweet how he wanted to make people smile. And with The Office, everyone, that was amazing, because so many of their TV personas were different from their real life self. And Angela was bouncing around, just bubbly and giggly as all heck. And Kevin, it was just so funny to see Kevin like talking intellectually and using an iPad and holding this like really intelligent conversation. And Rainbow's Dwight, he stayed in character the whole time. We were in line for the porta potty together. And there was a girl that came out of the men's porta potty, and he looked at me and he's like, disgusting. They were so fun. And it has to be a family to work those long hours day in and day out. They all operate as a family. And by the time your week is over, it's like, are you guys going to function with Matt? Don't you need me? You need me to stay, right? It's so hard to say goodbye. But our episodes were done and over. But the improv that Steve would do every take, and your job was just to play the straight character and not laugh when you didn't know what was coming. It was so hard. There was one take, because it was for The Office, it was the scene where the episode is when Jim and Pam are baptizing their baby, the christening, and I was in the youth group at the church. And so we're on the bus, and Steve gets on to go with us to Mexico for Habitat for Humanity kind of thing. And he gets on, and he's like, and then he realizes they regret their decision, let me off the bus. And one day he was just like, I'm going to make the most annoying sound in the world until you stop this bus and let me get off this bus. And he goes, ah, and he just started screaming. Insane sound, and we're supposed to be straight faced, and everyone was just like holding back the giggles so much, and we all cracked up once I said cut. But that's what makes you want that's the whole desire with working in this kind of creative field, is you meet these amazing people, you get this family, and you're all making magic together, and it just draws you in all the more. Yeah.
That is so cool. It's really neat.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And your last movie, will you tell us a little bit about that? Because that was closer to home, wasn't it?
False Hopes. We shot it in California, in Temecula. Faith-based romantic comedy. It's on Amazon Prime. Everyone, you can check it out. And PureFlix. It's now going to PureFlix too. But that was a great group of people, and to be able to pray at the beginning of every day and before extremely hard takes. Say we had like one take to get the food fight correct, we'd be like, okay, let's pray for a second, make sure we hit these shots, so there's cake flying, and we only have one cake, we got to do it right. And so the director was like, okay, let's all pray. And so that was a neat experience. And we had different faiths even within it, non-denominational, whatever, and talking about our faiths. And it was just this really cohesive project. And then we screened it back in Nebraska. So that was exciting to be able to share it with my hometown people. And God bless them, because we did it around Christmas. It was in January, the beginning of January. And there was a snowstorm, not safe to come out. Streets were icy on the night. Told grandma not to come, it's too dangerous, and there were still people that trickled in, and I wasn't sure anyone would show up, but we still filled like half of the theater. God bless them. There's so many supportive people, and they're a
Beauty of
blessing.
a small town.
Yes, I know. Yes, yeah, it's just like a giant family. So
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, and then I'm trying to remember if it was something that you talked about on social media, or if I read an interview with you, but you were also part of the Ballad of Buster Scruggs, one of the episodes. And I believe what you were saying is that the producers of that show were specifically seeking out people that understood like that type of life, that part of the country, in the, it's set in the Old West kind of, with covered wagons and everything. And
yeah.
So what is that experience where, your life, you're coming from a small town, going to a big town, and then in False Hopes, you're bringing a little bit of big town back to the small town, but then the big town wants the small town, and they come to people like you to get that. And how does that change when you get to actually, say, oh, I know this, like I'm the quote unquote expert on this, and, they need your help to make it legit and genuine.
That was definitely on my bucket list, to have productions come to LA and just see the worlds collide, because it was so funny where LA comes to Nebraska, and they wanted to film on the actual Oregon Trail. That was part of it, which is a cool thought. And to have like this meeting of, they bring in all these Nebraska extras who, are good with animals. That was a part of it. Are okay filming outside and maybe weather that's not that great. And they have this meeting, like, just so you guys know, like, it's going to be long hours. It's going to be a lot of work. We're going to be outside. And it's like, you don't know who you're talking to. Like, these people know real work. And literally just like hanging out on set, walking around a little bit, free food. They're going to think this is paradise. And they literally did. They're like, we're getting paid to do this. And just the way that they treated the crew, the actors, was neat, because there was no hierarchy at all, which is what I wanted to see. They didn't feel like, they felt just as special as it should always be. They felt just as special as the actor, the director, like, we're a part of this project. This is amazing. They'd go right up to the directors, the Coen brothers, in the morning. Hey, how was your day? And the main actors too. They're like, yeah, we're having a bonfire tonight. Come hang out. And invited all the crew too. So we had like wardrobe people, a couple hairdresser people come out to the bonfire, and some of us jumped in the lake, you know, and they're like, this is crazy, that water's muddy, I don't want to touch it. It was the most endearing thing. And then the last day of filming, one of the Nebraska guys had brought his guitar, and so many people wrote out cards saying thank you to the Coen brothers, to all the crew, different people. So they were handing out these cards saying thank you, everyone taking pictures together. And the guy that brought his guitar, we all just went around singing "What a Wonderful World" and thanking them for the experience. And they're like, who are you people? Like, the crew was crying. They're like, we've never had this before. You guys are the sweetest. Are you human? What's going on? Yeah. So that was special. And I love claiming that I'm Nebraskan for that whole point, because they're the most genuine and grateful people. And there was one point in one evening where it started snowing, and the crew's like, I don't know if we should go out there, it's really cold. And all the background was like, yeah, let's do it, come on. You guys scared of a little snow, really? Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So good. So I have a question about this past couple months for you, because I mean, obviously it's been kind of a chaotic time across the country and across the world. So what has acting and all of this looked like in this last year for you? And I guess an add-on question to that would be, like, do you think that there's a place for beauty in the chaos, or do you think that there's a place for art in the midst of, like, there's something I was thinking about the poets actually, and how, like, the New York Times came out with something years ago that said, like, the best poetry is written in times of crisis. And you just find, like, especially with the Irish poets, like, you see these beautiful pieces of poetry come out in a time of unsteadiness, in a time of war, in a time of sickness. And I think for me, I'm just very convinced that there's something about a time where we have to go through something together, a human experience that's common among us, that brings out creativity in us. So, I mean, in a time where you haven't been able maybe to do the same things in the way that you would have done them, what has that experience been like for you?
I think from an artistic standpoint, it is inspiring and grounding. Unfortunately, it's always the hard moments that really ground you and make you bring everyone together in this reality where you're all sharing this experience together. And I mean, you hear about musicians now that are writing more material, and the gratitude of being able to connect with your fans on maybe a more personal level, where you're just like tuning in from home and this is what you look like. And the authenticity of, hey, we don't have to put up this front and be fancy right now, and let's just all connect on this level. I've really liked that part of it. And I'm surprised, because there's still I'm grateful there's some production still happening. And we did manage to shoot a commercial too that comes out in February. So through all this mess, we still shot something. We had to cancel one day because someone tested positive for COVID. But yeah, there's a national commercial that's coming out, so you might see me there. But I really, it's like bittersweet, because I always feel like LA kind of needs that groundedness of, hey, let's not be like crazy and uppity all the time, and let's connect on this very real level. I've liked it for that. And then you're so grateful for when you do get to see people and create something together. It just feels like it's going to be worth it, and it's going to have a better message to it. And you're taking all these experiences into consideration and what people are going through. So it just feels like a deeper level. And then also, it's to be selfish, it's been great for my writing. and I did I rolled in this master art program too. So I've gotten really connected to my more introverted artistic side through it all. And I kind of love staying in and just writing and doing art all the time. Yeah, and drawing was my first love ever. And I gave it up because I was like, oh, I need to pick a career and make money, kind of thing, that whole thing. But then going through this class, God has given me just so much good feedback, and already people like, I want to buy this. Can I get a print of this? And it seems like a solid way where I can make it another creative avenue in my life. And do you want to see something that I drew?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I haven't done much, but and this was before class, but my nephew requested this for Christmas. And so this is a commissioned artwork paid for in love. But he wanted
Wow.
he wanted this is color pencil, Mr. John Wayne. And
That's incredible.
oh, thank you. So yeah, and so people are like, oh, can I get a copy of John Wayne? And then this I drew a couple years ago. And this was the first time I picked up anything for like 10 years probably, but here's I'm hoping to, with the drawing, get more into religious artwork and that kind of spreading of light and love and goodness through this kind of art too, in a sense. So yeah, the
So
art
detailed.
classes. Thank you. Yeah, the art's a lot of painting, and I've never explored much painting, so I'm excited. So yeah, that's been a positive through quarantine for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From ashes, good things can come out of
Yes.
difficult times. That's
Yeah. Yep. And I'm working on 2 scripts with 2 Catholic friends. And I don't know if those opportunities would have, well, one we were working on beforehand, but this other one was just something God put in my lap, because you have time to meet with people and talk to people, and it's a huge opportunity. And there's an A-list actor interested in it, and so yeah, God
That's
is
very cool.
always blessing me, in all these amazing ways. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool. One of the amazing things about people that are living fully in their art and in the callings that God's put in front of them is that you do keep seeing that affirmation. You keep going, I don't know, like you said, I don't know if I'm going to make it. And then something comes up the next day. And it's, even I have a good friend who was a missionary for years, and he and his wife were down to like their last $5. And this guy literally pulled over the side of the road, complete stranger, and was like, hey, something was telling me that I just really needed to give you this. And he gave him a check for like $500. And, it's just, well, you need this. This is so, God provides in ways that you can't possibly imagine. And obviously he expects us to be sharing our gifts with other people, because that's why he's given them to us. So what do you think, what's something that you keep close to your heart as you are, whether it be acting or drawing or painting or writing, in how to keep in mind that, artists have this sacred duty to bring beauty to the viewers and bring hope or love, whatever is applicable to that particular time?
I'm going to throw out another promo here, if I can. I took the Timpeac Leadership Initiative, which is, now that's all virtual and online too through Zoom, so it's open to anyone. But if you look at TLI program, it's a Catholic program, and it helps you find your direct mission of what God is calling you to do and how to be a Catholic leader using the gifts he gave you and what he has intended for you in the world. And it's the coolest thing, because I'm kind of a yes person that will say yes to all sorts of things and try all sorts of things. And that woke me up to be like, well, what's the message I want to say in the world, and what's God calling me to specifically? And it was really through that class of taking my past experiences and realizing what I was doing here and then here and here, and where God's affirmed certain things of realizing like I always am called, I feel like I'm called to connect with people on a deeper emotional level, and sharing personal experiences and wanting that more intimate personal relationship, and helping to bring people out of a darkness and into the light of truth and beauty and goodness. And it's neat because you go through that class, it's like, oh duh, that's literally what I've been trying to do, and you don't maybe realize it, but it's like that's God has been pushing me, and like all these experiences have happened because of that, and all these dots connect. So it's a great program, and you meet so many people. Part of the program is networking and bringing in different Catholic leaders from all different industries. So that was neat. And then the letter to artists from Pope John Paul II, I love that. I think it's beautiful just how artists are so necessary to bring that kind of beauty into the world. Especially if you've grown up in a Midwest kind of culture of like, you got to work, you got, it's like, we don't got time to sit down and doodle. And draw. There's work to be done on the farm. But to feel like that's a calling and that is necessary, it is beautiful. And I love to make people laugh. Yeah, of course I love to make people laugh, but because I did discern, should I really try to focus on humor and going to like Saturday Night Live kind of route, which would be amazing and fun. But there's a part of me that really wants to focus on deeper message and meaning and connecting with people on a deeper level of the truth and the beauty, and sharing those kinds of experiences. But in more drama. I love comedy, but dramedy, we shall say. Yeah. I guess I think once I picked the route to being an artist, I've just never looked back, and I've always felt that on my heart, and it's always felt right to pursue. So yeah.
Well, thank you for responding to that, and for living out the transcendentals in some way in the world, because I think we need a witness to that. I mean, we don't recognize that beauty points us upward unless somebody models that, unless somebody shows it. So I think you even responding to this call to go out and to share goodness and truth and beauty with the world in the way that you do, it's just incredible that you've been able to say yes to that. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, thank you. I'll tell you, there was a point I was like, Jesse, why do you want me to come on? Because there's not much happening right now at the moment with acting. But I'm happy to come on too. And I was gonna to add also a big part of what drives me is being able to share with others like the imperfection of human nature, and connect on that level, and know like a lot of our imperfections is what makes us who we are, and it's okay, and to still keep pursuing God and truth and connecting in those deeper ways of we're not going to be perfect, but we're all in this together, and comforting people in that kind of area too. Yeah, that's always been a part of it also, because it's like I think that's what makes humans so interesting. Mm-hmm. We're all so different and unique and not perfect, and just all writing our own story, and being able to collaborate with people and get to know people on that level of just being human. That's always been exciting to me.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, that is beautiful. And thank you for coming on here and sharing your story and stories with us. And I'm glad that you decided to go through with it, because it was great. It was great having you on the show. Great to listen to you tell us about some of your life, and we'll definitely put some stuff in the links, and check out your movies, check out your work, check out what you're up to, so people can. Are you allowed to say what company the commercial is coming out for, or is that on the down low?
I'm not allowed to. It's a new product, so I'm not allowed to expose it.
Okay.
It might be a food product.
Awesome.
Yes.
Well, thank you once again, Katy, for being here. We'll keep our eye out for a food product that's brand new
Okay.
in the near future. So thanks very much for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. God
Thanks.
bless. Thanks for doing this kind of stuff.